Hello everyone. So today I wanted to discuss this beautiful little book about the Harappan civilization, 100 reflections on the Harappan civilization, Ahimsa by Devdutt Pattanaik. And Ahimsa in English basically means non-violence. So it's a core concept from Buddhist and Jain philosophies and even Hindu philosophies of non-violence. So why he has chosen this as the title? Because from all the great ancient civilizations of the world, like Sumerian or Mesopotamian, Egyptian, Chinese, and the Indus Valley civilization, which is also called the Harappan civilization. The Harappan civilization is very unique because I think the area is greater than the other civilizations combined. So it's a large spread area civilization, and very few or almost negligible signs of any violent imagery have been found from this civilization. So since their script has not yet been deciphered, so this remains a mystery as to how such a large scale civilization was able to sustain itself without any violence. So this is still a mystery. So this book is purely not purely speculative, but some of the aspects of this book are speculative. And the author plainly mentions it also because these are his reflections. But I must say he has done a tremendous job in amalgamating a lot of research studies and books and conveyed his reflections in a very simple way. The whole book is roughly some 150 pages, and on each page there is some aspect of the Harappan civilization being discussed, and on the left hand side of the page beautiful diagrams have been shown. And this is useful because there are many seals that roughly 2,000 seals have been found from this civilization, from the Harappan civilization. So it's spread across a vast area from northern Afghanistan, modern day Pakistan, modern India, the upper half of India, and even till some part of Iran. And some 2,000 seals have been found, but in popular reading, these seals have not been depicted as such. We know of only some famous seals like the unicorn seal or the Pashupati seal. These are the famous ones which have been usually depicted, like this one in popular imagination. So not much has been discussed, but here Mr. Devdutt has hand drawn at least, but he has depicted a lot of seals. So I got to see some very new and some artifacts also which have been found in Mehergarh, for example. These figurines have been found. So most of this stuff you either find in academic books or in museums. So it's good to see this in just one book. He has covered a lot of ground and a lot of aspects. Some 100 aspects you can say of the Harappan civilization have been discussed here, and it's covered like this. The structure of the book is like this. So there is an introduction and conclusion which relate to how the author and is basically interpreting the history of these peoples, and what was the earlier method which was used to understand them, and what modern genetics and these academic studies are showing. And these are the 100 reflections from mythology, resources, knowledge, standardization to people. So so that's how he has structured this book. So for example, in the resources part, he has discussed what these Harappan people used as resources for their everyday life, and also for their you can say industrial life, because this was basically a factory for luxury goods and beads and agriculture produce, which was then exported majorly to Mesopotamia. And so this for example, this is the chapter on evil eye. It's a common belief even today, and maybe it was inspired by the fish eye, because even in water the fish never seems to blink, and it's supposed to signify something like in arid regions this means that you don't get dehydrated. or become weak. So I think it's to keep away demons. And even in Sumeria, or this Mesopotamia, there was a widespread belief of ghosts and tormenting people, or even the kings. So they needed protections, they needed amulets and talisman, and which were majorly exported from this region, Harappan region. So this is the Pashupati seal, which is very famous, and maybe it's so what it can depict. There's a lot of speculation here, but it's still very useful to study about these things. And like these seals. So these seals show some composite beasts. This is the first chapter, fantastic beasts. So later in this chapter, this sort of these seals are, remember, these are only some 2 to 4 centimeter sized, but these seals, some 4,000 years to 3,000 years old seals, they depict some sort of mythic, fantastic imaginations. And this one in particular has, I think, 9 different beasts. So what does this mean? Is it something supernatural, or is it basically just amalgamation of different motives of different clans, maybe cooperating together, maybe forming a guild? What else can this mean? So basically this book is like a puzzle, since the Harappan script has not yet been deciphered. So you are welcome to interpret these symbols and these figures according to your own understanding. This is a very nice chapter about the city layout in Mesopotamia versus Harappa. And the Indus cities are very well planned as excavated, and this shows some unplanned town planning. And these are like how Harappa was basically gated communities, lot of gates, lot of privacy for each room, and what these people imported and exported to Mesopotamia majorly. So import from Meluha, which the Mesopotamians called the people of the Harappa. So this was exported to them, and this was imported from Meluha to Sumer. And this is what the cuneiform script shows, Meluha, how it is written in Sumer. And what was the internal trade there? Textiles. So basically 100 aspects of this civilization has been discussed, including geography, culture, stories, trade items, and even burials, death burials, how they buried their dead. I think in one of these chapters, this chapter, burials, he shows how in the early phase of the Harappan period, people found these graves in Harappa in fetal position, laid from east to west. And just think about what these people were thinking. From this, I could only understand that like humans come to this world in this fetal position, and so basically they are just bidding their dead ones a final goodbye in the same position, in the fetal position. But later on, in the urban phase, the graves became much more, you can say, different, mature. Or maybe their whole concept shifted, or it could be that these two were different tribes, different clans, so they had different practices. So you are welcome to interpret them yourselves. What could be their meaning? Although the author has mentioned them, but as I said, some of the stuff is speculative on his part also. So some concepts I found baffling even. So I may not agree with them completely. But once the script is deciphered and more and more modern evidence comes in, so one or the other interpretation will be accepted as the truth. But the games they played, the pastimes. So this royal game of Ur, it is said that it probably came from Indus Valley civilization. So that's very fascinating. What were the stories they were storytelling? So these pots. This pottery, this famous fable of the crow putting pebbles into the pot so that he can drink water out of the pot. So it shows creativity. So many of these stories must have traveled around the world through these trade networks. And yeah, so I'm having trouble actually in focusing on just because on one chapter, because almost every chapter is very unique, very informative. This priest king statue also, the so-called priest king statue has been discussed, and the sitting position of almost all the statues and seals from this civilization shows very, very high level of standardization, that the right knee will always be on the floor and the left knee will be like this, the right knee will be on the ground, even here also. So it must be some common practice. This is the so-called dancing girl, which is called the dancing girl of Mohenjo-daro, the bronze statue used. And it's a very famous statue. It has become almost a logo of the Harappan civilization. But it also, the author says that this also shows some sort of male gaze attitude towards this, because how can you say that it's a dancing girl? And it shows the prejudice of the European archaeologists who excavated them and named this statue as such, because a similar statue was found from Karachi, and in the sort of a similar pose, but you can see that it's probably not a dancer, it's just a common pose. And maybe it shows authority, maybe it shows something else, but even today it's commonly referred to as the dancing girl of Mohenjo-daro, which is quite derogatory. But yeah, so we should be aware of these prejudices of historians, archaeologists of every age, and from what viewpoint they are interpreting history. So that's what the author covers in the introductory chapters, that we should be aware of these biases, including this author's also. So the author is very upfront about it, which I quite like. And yeah, so I would urge all of you to study about this book. It's a small book, and why I'm recommending this book over many others about the Harappan civilization, because these are very, very short chapters, 100 chapters. You can see on one page he has written some 2 paragraphs about the concept, and on the left side he has shown the diagrams or the figurines that have been excavated. So a lot of figures. I must say, I mean, there must be more than 100, easily more than 100 images rather than the chapters that he's covered. So a lot of work went into this diagram pages, I must say. And yeah, it's characteristic, Devdutt style art to depict something very simply. See this chapter. This is the Starry Sky chapter, referring to Van Gogh, and this also looks like some stars, and these are peacocks flying towards stars. But if you look closely, you can see in the belly of the peacock there is a man or a person, and there are some 5 stars maybe. So what could this depict? I mean, it's very hard to understand what story they were telling here. A peacock flying towards the stars with a man in his belly, with a person in their belly. It's very tough to interpret, but you are welcome to interpret these beautiful artworks yourself. And that's the beauty of this book. Some things have been interpreted. For example, this seal, it's clearly a ritual ceremony, some tree deity, and someone is offering some goat to the tree deity. Maybe this is a group dance, or maybe these are the 6 something related to constellations maybe. So yeah, some things you can interpret, but this one I couldn't understand why this author has giving birth to a crocodile. Like, I don't see a crocodile here. I see it might simply be a baby, but I don't know. So that's why I'm saying this is very very intriguing, and it's like a puzzle. You will have lots of fun, interpreting what could this mean, what could this seal mean. And yeah, look at this one, this pendant. This is a mythical unicorn, and it is shown with a womb, and the unicorn itself is within a womb. So it's a very metaphysical concept, if that's what it means. But still very fun to look at, very fun to interpret. these type of seals, these hybrid humans, they are very common and very fascinating to look at. Even Sumerians also have such concepts, but it's very, very interesting to study about these 4,000 5,000 year old cultures, and especially in the Indian subcontinent, even modern day Pakistan and Afghanistan, somehow genetically and culturally we derive many things from this culture, from this Harappan civilization. And even in the introduction, the author mentions how history is being appropriated by different interest groups. And for example, recently I think the textbooks in India have renamed this civilization not as Harappan civilization but as Saraswati Sindhu civilization. And personally, I don't like the move very much, because according to, I think their view is Harappa. Harappan name derives itself from the city of Harappa, which is in modern day Pakistan, or the district of Harappa in modern day Pakistan. So Indians wanted something for their own civilization name, so they named it Saraswati civilization. But I don't understand the point of it, because even when we talk about ancient civilizations like Mesopotamian civilization, it covers modern day Iran, Iraq regions. So I'd be very, very stumped to learn if in Iran and Iraq they are taught this Mesopotamian history by different names. So in Iraq, is it called some ancient proto-Iraqi civilization? It's a Mesopotamian civilization, the civilization between the two rivers. So, or even Indus Valley civilization. Earlier it was called it because most of the graves and the excavations were found near Indus Valley, near the Indus River system. But later on, the region was so vast, and so they started calling it the Harappan civilization, or the major cities, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. So the civilization itself was named after these. So these are basically just naming conventions, some politics going on, but at least you should know the region of this civilization and what were the symbol stories they were sharing. And when the script is finally deciphered, hopefully in my lifetime, we will know much more about this civilization and and how it was able to sustain itself based on non-violence, based on majorly trading and exchange economy, trading with the world, and basically it's an alternative towards establishing a civilization. That not all civilizations need to be established on the concept of violence. That's the main crux of this book. Non-violence is a civilizational option. That's what the author is arguing here. So please read this book. It's a small book, hardcover. The blue cover is based on the lapis lazuli stone from Afghanistan, which was extensively used and processed in this civilization and then exported to other areas. So please read it, share it, and thank you. Happy reading.